Hello everyone, welcome to my new science school mathematics class. In this class we are going to discuss percentage. This is our second lesson. The first one is a ratio. So this is our second class. Recently we discussed about percentage, but in this series we must follow all the due process. That's why we need to repeat the lesson again for your understanding. So what is percentage? Percentage is a way of presenting data on scale of 100. From 0 to 100, we use the 100 as the reference scale. So when we say something is 100%, that means it's complete. When it is 0, is not there. So 0 is nothing, while 100 is complete. This percentage is very common, is used everywhere. Everybody uses percentage because it's very easy to tell the proportion of this category from the total. For example, if you have 20 candidates that sat for exam, you can say 10% of the candidate passed the exam, or failed the exam rather, while 90% passed the exam. That would give like a rough proportion, or will tell the listener how much or what is the level of pass that you have from the result. And by using percentage, if you know the values, or if you know the original or total number of the candidate and the percentage, you can calculate how many people that pass the test and also how many that failed the test. What I said earlier is 20 candidates. So among the 20 candidates now, you can use the percentage to know how many of them that pass and how many of them that fail. So that's exactly what we are going to discuss in this lesson. So let's start with the example that I gave earlier. The example here is 20 candidates. This is the example that I gave. So 20 candidates as students, they sat for an exam and 10% of them passed. Well, let's not start with the percentage. Let's now know how to calculate the percentage. You have 20 candidates, and among them you have 15 of them passed the test or exam. So now, how many, or what is the percentage of this pass? What you should do is just say 15 divided by 20. 15 divided by 20, you will get 15 divided by 20, then multiply by 100. That will give you the percentage of the candidate that passed the test. So using a calculator, when you calculate 15 over 20 multiplied by 100, you get 75%. So you have 75% pass. 75% pass. Now let's give another example. If you have let's say 50 candidates, and from the 50 you have 40, like 40 out of 50 passed the test. So you have 40 now passed out of what? 50. What is percentage of this? You just multiply by 100. If you multiply by 100, you end up getting 80%. So you have 80% pass. This is very simple. What you should always remember is that what you are looking for, or what number are you looking for its percentage, or what is the portion that you are looking for its percentage? You are looking for percentage of what out of what total number, or what out of the total. You need to remember, or you need to know which one is the total and which one is the fraction, or the part, or the portion that you are looking for its percentage. That's very, very important. Mostly, if you have two numbers, the small number is the one that you are looking for its percentage. For example, here we have 40 and 50. 40 is the one that you are looking for its percentage, while 50 is the total number. And same thing, 15 here is the one that you are looking for its percentage, while the 20 is the total number of that candidate, if you are using candidate as an example. So we can develop formula using this arrangement, because now we know that the one that you're looking for its percentage is always appear on top or as the numerator, while the total number is always as the denominator in this fraction. So we can develop formula. Let's assign letters for each of these values. Let's say for the denominator, let's assign x for it, while the 50, which is the denominator, let's assign y for it. Then that multiplication, this 100 is always there, is constant. If you want to, or if you are calculating percentage, you always include that 100. So you have 100, then is equal to this 80 is variable, because here is 80 but this place is 75, so it's always variable. So let's assign z or z as the alphabet there. So this is the formula to calculate percentage. Very important formula, very simple. What you need always to remember is that x is always on top and y is always at the bottom. Again, now this percentage has symbol. This, what you see here, is the symbol or sign of percentage. So if we say 3 plus 1 is equal to 4, note that this 3 is a figure, but it's not in words. For you to write 3 in words, you need to say, or you need to write THREE. Then this plus again is a sign or symbol. So for you to write it in full, you need to write it as PULS, that is plus. Then 1 here is ONE. Then equal, this is equal, is equal, then to 4. This is very long sentence, but I can just use this sign and symbol to represent this sentence. So the way I use the symbol to represent the sentence, I can still use a symbol to represent percentage. Instead of me writing percentage, I'll just put the symbols there. So what is the symbol for percentage? This is how to write percentage properly or in words. This is percentage. This is percentage, but in terms of symbols, you just give this sign, this bracket. I just want you to see this is the actual sign for percentage. So let me put it in bracket. So whenever you are expressing percentage, remember, put this sign. Let me just consider it as unit. Imagine you are maybe doing calculation in physics and you want to say maybe 20 kilogram, and you forget to write the kilogram, you just leave it as 20. That will have no meaning, and which will be something that is meaningless will always be considered as wrong. So you can't end up getting 20, just 20 instead of 20 kg. Unit is very important. So as this sign for percentage is always important. So now we have this formula for percentage. This is Z, not 2. Z. So there are different ways that question can come to you. When questions comes, try to know which one is X, which one is Y. If you cram this formula, the problem that you will have is only when you don't know which one is X and which one is Y, or which one is Z. Or they ask you to, instead of them, this formula is working for Z, and if they ask you to find Y, that will be very problematic, because if you don't know how to do change the subject of the formula, then you are gone. So you need to know how to do change the subject of the formula, or how to change the subject of a or of any given formula. So let's give example. These two example we gave earlier, there are questions that asks at the percentage. Now let's give the percentage and ask you to find the maybe X here. So let me just give you data. This is data. This is the data to start your calculation. Data, I'll just give you the values of individual variables here. So we have X. Let me give you the value of X. X is unknown. That means you need to find it. I will not give you the value. You need to calculate and find X. Y is, let's say, Y is 25. Then Z, which is the percentage, is, let's say, 5%. Now you need to find X. There are two different ways that you can use or that you can follow to find the value of X. Let's write the formula. The formula is just X over Y, then multiply by 100, which is equal to Z%. Now you have your Z. The first way that you can follow to find the value of this X is by making the X to be the subject of the formula first before putting all the values. Now for me to make X to be the subject of the formula, you need to understand, or you need to recall, that this fraction is very simple one, because you have X over Y multiplied by 100 here. It's just the same thing as 100X all over Y, because this will multiply, X will multiply by 100. They will make it X times 100 is also same as 100X, because you can hide the multiplication sign in between the alphabet and number or figure. So we have, now instead of me writing this, I will just say 100X all over Y, then it's equal to Z%. If you don't understand this step, that means you need to go back and watch the earlier videos on basis of calculation, which we explain in details how to do all these cancellation and others. Now we have 100X over Z is equal, over Y is equal to Z. So for you to make the X to be subject of the formula, now we know that we don't need to write this percentage sign. For us to make X the subject of the formula, we can first, here we need to take Y away from the left side of the equation. So we can say 100. Some people will just say every Y divided by Y. Sorry, every Y will be multiplied by Y. Here multiply by Y, here multiply by Y. This Y that will appear here will cancel this one, but me, I will just do it simply. So I have 100 x is equal to yz. Then for you to make x to be the subject of the formula, that means you want to leave only x in the left side of the equation. That means you need to take this 100 away, then you leave x here. If you take 100, where are you going to put it? You will put it in on the right side here. So you have x is equal to yz, because the relationship between x and y in the left side of the equation here is multiplication. Then taking 100 to this other side of the equation, the 100 will get there, but the relationship between the already existing members there will be division between y and z, and the 100 that is coming now will be division. So 100 will be divided by, okay, y and z will divide by 100, that is 4x. Now input the whole values of y and z. Then you have x is equal to value of y here is 25, so you have 25, then multiply by z is what? Is 5, then all over 100. When you do that, you have 25 times 5. 25 times 5 will be 125. Then divide by 100. You have your x is equal to 12.5 if I did not calculate it wrong. So that is for x. But remember, this is not percentage, because this is the actual value of x. If you want to confirm, you just use this formula: x over y multiplied by 100 is equal to z%. Just stop there. Then you input the value. Okay, let's say z%. Just finish it. You have your x. Now use the value of x you have gotten here. Final. Then you have 12.5 divided by what is y is 25. So 25, then multiply by 100. Now just assume you don't know the value of z. If this calculation give you the correct initial value of z, that means your calculation is correct. So when you say 12.5 multiplied by 100 divided by 25, that will be, so here in my calculation I got 50. So maybe I should be 50 for the calculation to be correct. And let's check why is the problem. Because I'm using the system calculator, that's why I'm getting it wrong. So here it should not be 12, it should be 1.25. So here it will be 1.25. So if you do the calculation, you end up getting 1.25 here. You will get your answer as 5 here. So that means my calculation is correct now. So this is just a way to find your way out from the formula that the percentage is already given. You are not asked to calculate. If you are not asked to calculate the percentage, just do the subject of the formula and find the other parameters, or the other, yes, the either x or y, to get it clear. So that is it for the percentage. But now what I want you to understand again about percentage, because question can come in many different ways. Many different ways can be used to ask a question that you need to think very, very, very carefully. You need to do it very well, and if you are good enough, if you practice this, you will not miss it. So let's start with something like this. let's say this is just a rectangle, but this I can decide to put some numbers here to indicate the proportion or the division within the rectangle. I can divide it into 2 and put here 20, then I can put here as 40, and I will ask you to find the percentage. Let's say this is A, this is B. I can ask you what is the percentage of A in the whole listing. What you want to remember is, if you are asked to find the percentage, your Y here will be everything, which is our Y will be 20 plus the 40, which is equal to 60. This is the first mistake that most of us will make, because you don't know that you will just be thinking of this 40 can be the Y, then 20 is the X. No, the actual Y is 60. Now, if you're asked to find 20, or if you are asked to get the percentage of A here, what you should do is just say 20 over the total, which is 60, then multiply by 100 will give you the 3.33.3%. This is the percentage of 20 in the whole box. Then you can go ahead and find the percentage of 40, but you don't need the formula, because you already gotten 33%. So here it's just like you have 33%. If you have 33%, what remains? Since you have 33, then this other part will be the whole, which is 100% minus the 33. So you have 100% minus 33.3%. That will be equal to 6.67%. That's the way to go about it. But you can still use the formula and say 40 as the X now, because your X can be changed. You can change your X. It's not that you must always follow the smallest or the rules that, or you should not take it as a rule that the small number is the X. No, this 40 can be your X. Now you have two different small numbers. You have 40 and 20, because the original large number is 60. So 20 and 40 are all small numbers. So you have 40 over 60 multiplied by 100, which will be another percent, which will be the 6.667, if I'm not mistaken, percent. So this is the way to calculate the percentage. So that will give you the correct answer. This has led us to discuss another important thing. If you have, let's say, 20 candidates, let's use the earlier example. If you have 20 people and out of them 15 pass the test, then for you to calculate the percentage, just multiply it by 100. 15 over 20 multiplied by 100, which is 75%. This question asks you the people or the student that passed the test. The question can also be, or they can also ask you to state the percentage of those that fail. This is just people that pass. You have 20 candidates, but 15 pass. Then you have 5 that fail. So the percentage of those that fail is 5 over the same 20. Remember, 20 is constant. Then multiply by 100. That 100, if you are dealing with percentage, that 100 must always be there. Try to remember this. 100 must always be there. Then if you do it, if you say 5 over 20 is equal to 25%. So that's very important for you to remember. And again, I want you to understand that this saying 15 over 20 is just normal fraction. the normal fraction that we are or we have done in our previous lesson. 15 over 20 is just 0.75. That 0.75 is in decimal form, while this is in fraction form. And this, just by multiplying it to 100, will turn it into percentage. So if you multiply by 10, we multiply it by 100, it will become 75%. So percentage is just expressing fraction. You just use 100 to express fraction in terms of, or in the scale of 100. So I hope this lesson is helpful, and I hope it has helped you to learn how to calculate percentage. Before I leave you, let me give you exercise. Please practice. So these are two exercises I have for you. The first one is very straightforward. Here is the data. Just use the data to answer the question. Just find y. Use change subject of the formula to make y is the subject of the formula. Then put this data of x and z. Then the second question has two different questions. The second question has two sub questions. We have 14 and 15 as the different parts of this whole cycle. So we want you to get the percentage. Let's say 14 is A and 15 is B. Now find A and B. Find the percentage of A from the whole cycle and also of 15 from the whole cycle. If you do that, put it in the comment section below. And if you want, you can always have the Hausa version of this lesson in mathematics lesson. Please, if you enjoy this lesson, please try to like, comment, subscribe and open notification. Finally, share it to others. Thank you very much. Hope to see you in the next lessons. Thank you.